So let me ask you this question. Imagine, I think you saw this, the images for this video that I'm doing at the moment about witchcraft in the mainstream, and you saw this thing about the Scum Manifesto, which was published in 1967. It was published by a radical feminist who felt strongly that men were messing up the world and that they should be gotten rid of, and that women should take control, and that basically men should be literally gotten rid of, and scum stood for the Society for Cutting Up Men. So she hated men. She thought they were to blame for all the bad things. So let me ask you this question. If that were to happen, if women were to gain control and they were to get rid of all these horrible, oppressive white men and white Christian men, then what kind of a world would we do you think we would be living in?
No, I don't want it. No, I don't want it. I don't want that world. No, not at all.
Why do you want why do you want men? Why do you want white Christian men to be in the world when they're responsible for all the bad things, all the
it isn't true. That's the thing. That's complete falsity.
Right.
It isn't true. It's a lie. Thank God for the Christian men, whatever colour they are.
So what do they bring to society then?
They bring the love of God. They bring the gospel. If you're really lucky, they'll bring the gospel. They bring morality. I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, they should do.
Yeah, and they bring a good example. They bring safety and protection.
Yeah.
It's like that's how I feel with you. It's like I'm so thankful for your protection, and I feel safe with you. I feel protected by you. You're my beloved husband, and you take care of us, and and that's normal. That's what God intended. That's His plan for men and women. That they live in harmony with each other, and that the men are our protectors, and that's really how I feel. I really feel like that, and I thank God for that. And that we can remain soft, that we can remain sensitive and soft, because we're safe and protected, and that's the ideal, and that's
Do you think spiritual protection is an aspect of this?
Oh, for sure,
men?
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I mean, really, I think whether you're a man or a woman, you need spiritual protection.
Do men have a role to play with their wives or with women, with their girlfriends or partners? Do they have a role as a spiritual protector or not?
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I don't know if I'm, qualified to, to speak about that. I can't.
Well, how about? I guess with my work, then I'm seeing all the evil agendas in the media.
That's right.
And that are being. I guess they're being.
Yeah, that's it. No, you're right. When you bring it down to that, that's true, because my tendency. My tendency is just to switch it all off. I see these things and I just I don't want any part of it. And, I didn't even know half these things were going on until you showed them to me, because I'm happy just to be in my garden and, just not go there. It's like it looks evil and demonic to me, and I'm not interested, and I just want to stay with God, and, that's my tendency, but in some ways that could be detrimental to our children, because then I'm not able to protect them from influences that I don't know anything about, So I'm actually really grateful that you see these things, so that you can be the protector, and you can warn them, and you can guide them, and meet. I mean, sometimes I do struggle with having to, look at these things, and but it gives me a greater insight into what's going on really in the world, and the influences on the young people, because I do see, when I go out and about, and I see that most kids are on their phones, and just how influential the media is on them. It's not, most people don't have the the privilege of just being able to unplug from it all. I think it's in the schools, children are encouraged to study online, and to there's a lot of encouragement to be online, and to
there's not a lot of protection for children from teachers and from parents. It's like, because I remember say 5 years ago, before I was really focusing on these messages in the media, you weren't too concerned about the media. You weren't too concerned, like, if the children went for a sleepover. You just trust that the movie industry was children's movies were generally had good messages, and that children's TV programs were generally good, and children's pop music was generally good, and so you wouldn't kind of warn them or stop them watching certain things. You just say, it's okay.
To be perfectly honest, I probably wouldn't have even known what they were looking at. I would just assume that it's all safe. I really would have assumed that. So that's why I'm thankful that you've had the insight to see into what's actually going on, and that we can then protect not only our children, but now with this work that you're doing to raise the awareness about these things, that people can protect their own children from these influences. Very, very important.
And there's just one other thing that just popped into my mind, is that you can just give me your thoughts on this. I just like to know what you think. So, in the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, the serpent, which was Satan, approached Eve. So God had already told Adam, don't eat the apple. So Satan, the snake, approached Eve, and and persuaded her, eat the apple. And you've got all these children's stories where the wicked witch approaches, say, Snow White or the young girl, approaches the young girl, exactly, and speaks to her. And so I wondered, young girls or women, I wonder if there's a vulnerability to the messages of evil, and why in society at the moment so much of the dark messages and evil messages are being aimed at girls. They're being targeted, like Billie Eilish and Sabrina and plenty of others. They're targeting young girls. And what's your thought on that?
Well, so just then the dots were connecting, just because you're speaking about these messages about getting rid of men, that are really quite prevalent now, and that basically, what just occurred to me is then, of course, if you get the men out of the way, then the women are much more susceptible to deception, and so that just occurred to me.
Why would that be the case?
I don't know. Maybe it's just designed that way. Maybe we're just, maybe women we're just more, innocent, or gullible, you could say, trusting. Because I know I know also from my own experience that although I went through many dark situations, I always had a sort of wide open, trusting attitude, and I think that's what protected me in some respects, but I certainly I would have rather not gone through some of those situations, and it's true. So and the thing is, I find personally it's a great relief to be allowed to be open and trusting and sensitive, and not to have to be always on the lookout for danger.
So
I'm not inclined to be on the lookout for danger.
It's good to know. It's good to have someone doing that job.
I'm really glad that you're doing that, and then you can tell me what to look out for, and
you can relax.
I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy about that, because I'm not that way inclined. And I would presume that's just the way God designed me. I'm totally happy with that.
So just one more thing before we finish, which is it's very serious and really concerns me, and you can tell me your perspective on it, which is what we've mentioned already, which is this persuading women that men are the enemy, and that men have messed up the world, and that men are obviously polluting the planet and bringing the climate apocalypse upon us, and this idea that society would be much better if it was run by women. And do you have any thoughts on that?
I just don't think it would work. I mean, my honest thoughts about that are that we need to be in harmony. Men and women need to be in harmony with each other, and we just need to, we need to live life together, and we need to find a way to live in harmony with each other. And I personally, I've come to realise that all the instructions for how men and women live in harmony together are found in the Bible. I've come to that conclusion, after trying many different methods.
What about the messages which are being put out, which say that the Bible suggests that women should be subservient and they should do what their husband says? Because these messages are being put out, and women don't like that message, and I don't subscribe to that message either. So what about these people are portraying this, that the Bible says that women should just do what their husbands tell them to and be subservient? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my experience of that is that my experience of the Bible and of coming into fellowship with God and with Jesus is that it's a love relationship. So I would say the Bible is really, in my experience, like a love letter. So it's primarily about gaining that relationship with God, So as I come into closer fellowship with Jesus, with the Father, through His Word, through prayer, through the Holy Spirit, through Jesus, that as I come into closer fellowship, into deeper love of the Father, I come, you could say, into right relationship with you. I've noticed how our relationship has more blossomed since we came to faith, since we came to Christ, and everything comes into its perfect order and its perfect balance, and there's more love in the relationship, more respect, more trust, more safety. And so it's just a consequence of being in love with God, that you come into right relationship. Men and women come into right relationship with each other.
It's almost like He harmonizes your heart.
He harmonizes
your heart, so your heart can be be in harmony with your partner.
And that's right. So it's not about following rules and doing things like you're supposed to do them, but it's about, I would say, primarily, and I don't mind using the word obedience, because I seek to be obedient to the will of God. I love to be obedient to the will of God.
Why?
I want to be obedient to the will of God.
Why?
Because I trust that He is all powerful, He's all loving, and I love Him, and I want to be with Him.
And He only wants the very, very best.
I trust that He wants the best.
It's easy to be obedient to someone who knows exactly what's good for you and exactly what's going to make you happy and fulfill your heart.